Hey everybody, Dave Costello here, founder and CEO of Jetpack Workflow and host of Growing Your Firm podcast. Today's guest is Terese Thomas. She is the head of the bookkeeping department at a firm called Modern Secretary. And how we got connected, I'm going to embarrass her maybe right away, is she is a Jetpack Workflow customer. And, somebody on our team surfaced this thing the other day. I thought it's so great to kind of kick off the conversation with this. Of course, we're going to know a little bit about Modern Secretary. But for Jetpack customers, you probably know that we have this Jetpack usage award, right? So if you check off the most tasks in a month, we send you this award every month. And we sent one to Terese because she's, great at navigating the application and using the application. And she said something I thought was so profound and impactful that the audience needed to hear. So I'm going to start with this. She goes, "Boy, I love getting this award." Now I'm paraphrasing, of course. "Boy, I love getting this award, but I wish my team got this award. What do I need to do in my day and my week to get my team to win this award? Because I want them checking off the most tasks," which I thought was really cool. So we're going to dive into concepts like that and so much more. But first, Terese, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Of course. For the audience, real quick, before we dive into kind of the workflow mindset that you bring to the firm, what is Modern Secretary? What's the average, kind of client you serve, and what kind of services do you deliver to them?
So Modern Secretary started off with my colleague, Christina Marson, who is an Intuit reseller. She's a premier reseller and a QuickBooks ProAdvisor. And we met 9 years ago, working together on retail stores. And we set them up with point of sale and QuickBooks Desktop. And then I've been doing bookkeeping for 30 years, worked for and with CPA firms. And since she and I have met, we've been just collaborating on a whole bunch of stuff. And then finally, we decided to just combine forces. So now we have about 40 clients, and we're looking to maybe double that in the next year or two.
Wow. And team size is whereabouts?
We have, there's 5 of us all together. I currently have 2 bookkeepers working for me and an administrative assistant.
Okay. Well, what have you learned from the integration perspective? What would you do the same, and what would you do differently as you were combining forces? Like, what made it go really, really well up front, and maybe in hindsight, what would you have added if you were going to do it again?
Well, the first thing I would have done was started using Jetpack a year sooner than I did. It took me an entire year to figure out that everything I had been doing with checklists and using Excel spreadsheets and trying to figure out where are we. And then I just went on a chat board, with one of my bookkeeper places. And I said, "What are you guys using?" And somebody randomly said, "Check out Jetpack Workflow." And then when I looked at it, and I remembered your name because you actually demoed it for me. I don't know, when you were first starting out, but it was just me. And so I was like, "Oh, I don't need it." Now I realize I need it bad. So that's what I would have done that a lot sooner.
Interesting. So without that, was it just trying to triangulate clients was a lot harder, or trying to kind of combine forces? Like, where did the tension show up with without it?
When it was more than just me, when I had to rely on others to do the work. And then when you get 3 and 4, it's hard. It's like corralling cats sometimes as to where was I in the workflow? Where are we? How many clients are behind? Whose stuff haven't we done? Are we late? Oh my gosh, that all of that came into play. And just setting up the Jetpack and thinking through the processes really helped. And then my mind has been exploded with it. It's so helpful.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate the kind words. I didn't lay up that question for that answer, but that's exciting to hear.
It was a softball, but it is the truth.
Yeah. And so when you were, prior to this, you had at least, kind of a spreadsheet, but then as you grew, you're adding employees. It's really hard to see what they're doing. Did you find anything tactically useful from you and your kind of co-founder or collaborator to make sure you two are always on the same page? Like, do you check in daily, check in weekly? Do you have monthly lunches or dinners? Like, have you found anything there just to maintain that level of relationship?
Yes. So Christina and I, we clicked the minute that we met each other. And so we talked probably 4 times a week at least. And then once a week, I have a bookkeeper meeting where all hands on deck are invited at 3 o'clock on Thursday. And then once a month, we'll have a modern secretary meeting with where Christina's running that show. So we talk a lot, and we ping, we're always chatting. So yeah, we're always in touch.
Yeah, well, I think one of the interesting things is, people ask about, what's the ROI of going to a conference? And so, well, you're going to see this vendor, you're going to see this speaker, but it's kind of interesting. We time and time again, we've done so many of these interviews, and when even if you're not looking for a co-founder, if you're just looking for like-minded individuals, it's, whether it's virtual or offline, these are some of the best places to go to. I'm just curious, because you found her through like an event. Do you have one or two, and I'm not affiliated with any event, so I don't know where you're going to go with this, but is there one or two like virtual or offline conferences that you've always found to be really useful for you and your firm, either from a networking perspective or content or both?
Actually, it's been a few years, but I used to go in person to the Intuit. They would have an annual accounting conference, and they would, roll out all their new stuff and explore ideas, and all us bookkeepers could talk shop and that kind of stuff. But I haven't done that in a few years, of course. I did do a virtual one, but I didn't find it as interesting as in person.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm hearing, as soon as they cut the caviar, because there's 1 year they had caviar, and there's 1 year they really, I think, blew out the hors d'oeuvres. As soon as they stopped that, you stopped going. That's what I'm hearing, right?
No, I will say there was one Intuit conference that it was the best party I'd ever been to in my life, and it was completely unexpected. But
so I'll say this, and I do want to dig into the workflow mindset, but yeah, I mean, I was just talking with somebody earlier about a different thing about the Intuit conference, but we were there as a vendor 3 years ago, and they invited us to this, it was almost like a circus tent meets Alice in Wonderland party. I was like, goodness gracious, this company's doing well.
They can put on the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to go back to something I mentioned earlier, I think you have such a sharp workflow mind to even call out, hey, I don't want to win this award. I want my team to win this award. I'm just curious how that mindset evolved. And then I want to think about, and I want to break down tactically what you're doing every week to kind of help your team get into that mindset. But I guess, what is your approach to kind of workflow design, and what are some influential either resources or things you've come across that's led you to say things like, I want my team to win that award?
Well, first of all, as I was designing it and laying out how I'm going to empower my people to do the job, I have, each step is documented. And then I started doing videos on, here's how you actually do this. And here's, if you see this weird thing, because there's always weird stuff in bookkeeping. If you see this, look at this video. If it's that, look at this video. And they're all attached inside of the task, inside of the job, inside of the workflow. So that's been huge for me, and it's helped me to design, and it's just made me think in so many new ways to get my people to do the job. And the beautiful thing is they're coming up with ideas that is helpful. So that's part of our Thursday meetings, is I'm saying, what have you learned this week within Jetpack? What do you like? What do you don't like? Do you have any new ideas for me that we can make things more efficient?
Yeah, I love that. Was it hard to get people to start coming up with ideas, or was it almost like once you turned on the spigot every Thursday, they would be coming with ideas?
I think at first, everybody was just, because it's new, it's sort of like, ooh, I don't know, where do I go? How do I find my stuff? And so together, we started just working out where to go to find your cheese and what cheese you need to move. And then it became, hey, I have an idea. Why don't you do this on the front page so we can all see it? I mean, it just took off from there. So now I look forward to my Thursday meetings because of all the new ideas we're going to exchange.
Yeah, what's one that came to, from this year? What's a Thursday idea that you're like, man, this was great. It's worked out super well. Do you have any that come to mind?
It just has happened organically, and I will give my partner Christina all the credit, because she's the one who said, you should have meetings every week with your people. We talk all the time. We need to all talk. We all need to exchange and be in the room together, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah. Well, is it typically like we need to add this video or we need to add this step or this is unclear or we're missing information? Like what kind of things are surfacing up in these Thursday
Oh,
meetings?
well, the biggest thing is I have found is I'm the holdup on most things because, I'm the one that reviews and then hands off, I prepare the financial data to hand off to the client. And so we came up with a way of my team to let me know that I'm up. I created a label that says under review and my initials. So I go search that out first because it's like, okay, this is the last thing on my step. This is the buck stops here. So do it. Because for a long time, I was just all over the place, just trying to get this going. And then my people also are coming up with, hey, I think you're missing something because this isn't getting done. That just happened the other day. So, it's still a work in process, but I'm loving the organization and the way it's going.
Yeah, I have to ask because you're head honcho, your boss.
Yeah.
Was it easy for your team to say, "Hey, Terese, the biggest issue this Thursday is you"? Like, was that hard for them to surface up? Was it easy for them to surface up, or was it?
I don't think anyone actually said it. I think as I was looking in the stuff and I realized that it's me. So I raised my hand and said, I'm the holdup, guys. Just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I heard this a couple of years ago, and I think it's always rung true. If you imagine those classic Coca-Cola bottles, the bottleneck's always at the top. The bottleneck's always at the top, right? And it's like time and time again, the firm owner, the partner, the department lead, whoever it may be, that's where the bottleneck always ends up because it's just the natural state of evolving and growing. You evolve and you grow and you take on more work. And eventually what you were doing a year ago, and it was easy and you're as fluid and it was great, it's now become the bottleneck because the complexity grows or the client base grows.
Exactly. That's exactly what is it. That's it. You nailed it.
So I need to ask you though, if you're the reviewer now, your team kind of said in an indirect way, "Hey, Terese, you're the bottleneck." You set up something in Jetpack called labels, so it gives you this big visual identifier. Hey, I need to look at this. You're going to double from 40 to 80 clients. How do you see your role evolving in that journey?
So right now we are searching for a me. And it's hard to find a me because it's a long career of learning on the job and working with CPAs. And I've done some tax work. I'm not a CPA because I have a personality, but I just
we instantly just got 12 negative reviews. Sorry, CPAs everywhere. I do not endorse what Terese is saying.
Hey, I worked with them, but they're wonderful people. Don't get me wrong. Love CPAs. No, but I lost my train of thought. I just derailed.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I derailed you. But you were talking about, you're going to double your client base
Oh, yeah,
from
sorry.
40 to 80, and you're trying to find a you.
me.
You're trying to replace yourself.
Mhm.
And, I'm curious what that process looks like. Must be a very challenging hire to kind of bring in a senior leader at that level. So how are you approaching that?
So again, Christina, the big idea girl is reaching out to people who have people who are like us and just saying, do you know anybody who's like us? Do you know a me? Do you know someone who could help us out? We're looking for help remotely. We're a remote company. So we're looking for a senior skill level who could take on a lot of the processes that I'm currently bottlenecking.
And so what do you think your role is going to evolve into after you hire this person?
I'm going to go play Keno.
Okay. That's a good goal.
That's my goal. I'm hoping I want to slow down and kind of hand things off. That's why I'm making all the videos and trying to get everything so flawlessly easy for the lower level or the bookkeepers to do their job and do it easily without a lot of hand holding and instructions. I won't have to keep teaching because I just put it out there on a video. And then I get to go play Keno and go on vacations a lot.
Nice. Well, 2 follow-up questions. One very tactical. What video software is your preferred video software to capture these training videos?
Well, I have been using Snagit.
Yeah.
And then they have a higher level CAM. I can't think of the name. CAM. I have to type it in here.
Camtasia or something like that? Is it?
Yeah, yep, Camtasia. And I'm not very proficient at it, so I just use the Snagit videos, and then I just kind of edit out my uhs and ahs and put it out there. And my team actually loves my videos.
Good for you. I'm glad you edit out. Not everybody edits it out, and apologies to my team. I don't always edit mine. I don't either for Loom. So I'm glad you do that. And then where do you host them? Do you know, because I think with Snag, do you upload it as a MP4 file, or do you host it somewhere for them to view?
We use Dropbox, and
Okay.
then I link it into the task inside of Jetpack Workflow.
Okay, wonderful. No, I have to ask because, you know, we're in year 322 of the pandemic right now, right? Where it's like we're opening, we're closing, we're reopening. We got this variant, that variant, right? People listening 5 years from now are going to be like, "What are you?" You know?
Yeah.
I barely remember this time, but you know, we're in a world where all of a sudden remote talent, everybody's hiring remote, right? So you're having this crunch, or at least that's what we've heard and what we've seen. What's been your experience trying to find this person? Are you getting fewer or more applicants? Is the quality down? Like, just what's been your experience hiring in, you know, 2021 September?
It is really hard to find anybody. I don't know what it is. That's why we're just asking everybody we know who does what we do. If they know someone who is looking for more, I mean, we may end up having to hire several people who can kind of do what I do in order to cover it all. If they don't have enough bandwidth to just work for us.
Yeah, I will say that that is a really good point. I think in today's hiring environment, which I mean, it's just, for lack of a better word, it's brutal. I mean, it's just, it's a level that is unforeseen. And we've seen it across, you know, accounting firms. We obviously see it in technology, my goodness.
Mhm.
But I think the big point is, figure out, if you're about to go hire somebody, have a plan B, C, D, and E. And let's hope plan A goes well and you just find somebody 3 weeks. Great, you love them. But whether you're creating fractional hires, whether you're trying to find I don't know if there's recruiting firms, that's a big investment, or, you know, new platforms, but it is a challenge. So you're thinking, if you can't find the one full-time person, you might hire like 2 or 3 slightly more junior and train them up, or triage work that way.
Yep, but all of that. Yep, all of that. Yeah, and it is tough. It is really tough out there.
Just to see the difference, because you all have been remote prior to the pandemic, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been remote for myself for 10 and a half years.
Okay. What was it like pre-pandemic to hire remote? Like, where would you post, and how many applicants would you get? And then was it like now? Are you posting the same places, and is it just crickets, or is it just the quality is really bad, but you're getting numbers?
Well, we actually, I haven't posted out there in the world. I've gotten people, the bookkeepers that I have were word of mouth. One of them, I had trained her 10, 12 years ago at another, even before, longer than that. But anyway, someone I had trained years ago, and then I contacted her to see what she was doing because I knew her. You know, it's hard to trust people with this level of service, you know, because we're dealing with people's financials. So I have a hard time trusting just anybody. And so I've gotten my people through word of mouth, really.
Makes sense. I will say, you know, it's funny, we don't peel back the curtains a lot on Jetpack because this is a kind of a Jetpack infused interview, I'll say this. I mean, it's kind of funny. We're going through a hiring process right now, and we're trying to pull out all the stops, right? We're trying to work with a contingency recruiter. We've hired somebody to help us optimize our recruiting process. We're trying to do better careers page. We're trying to update our I mean, just everything. We probably did a dozen different job boards, and we're getting a lot of applicants. The quality is not there. And then over the weekend, I see this candidate come in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, amazing background. Now we're still in the hiring process. I don't want to jinx ourselves. Amazing background. And B, she's been to the office and she's had lunch with us, or he or she, well, I guess she had lunch with us like a couple dozen times. And it's amazing how you forget about your network when
Mhm.
trying to hire for somebody. And we've tried everything, and then it's coming down to like some of our most promising talent coming in is still coming through our network, still coming through our people. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
well, Terese, this has been a real treat. I appreciate all the kind words about Jetpack Workflow. If somebody wants to reach out, ask you a couple questions, maybe just say thank you for coming on, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
My email, Terese, Terese at modernsecretary.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. And for people that couldn't jot down all the notes and takeaways, we link everything up at jetpackworkflow.com/blog. That's jetpackworkflow.com/blog. We'll do a full 1,000+ word summary. We'll pull out key points. We'll link up the website. We'll link up. I'm going to also link up. We didn't mention this. Who Moved My Cheese? I heard the reference earlier. We'll link up the book in there as well. And, if you enjoyed this interview, leave a review. That helps us get the word out. And if you really loved it, share it with a fellow firm owner, partner, co-founder, head of whatever it may be that just needs to kind of hear this material, needs to hear how to step away and build processes for their firm. So, Terese, thanks again for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.